Hi, this is Matt with LSAT Cracked. In this lesson, we're going to talk about how to do a method of argument question. It's simply asking you to describe, and they don't tell you this, but describe in abstract terms what the argument is doing. Describe the reasoning of the argument. These are all just fancy ways of saying, please describe to me, select an answer choice that describes, descriptive terms, how the argument moves from its premises, or its support, to its conclusion, the claim it's making. Now the good news is, step one, as always, identify the main conclusion. Then review the other parts and ask, try and understand how are they ultimately supporting the main conclusion. Now the good news is there aren't that many good arguments on the LSAT. There aren't that many ways to arrive at a valid conclusion. And the vast majority of these arguments that fall for the rule questions or for the method of argument questions, as a general rule, they're good arguments. So they're generally pretty plain vanilla. They're not that complicated. You might have something like A arrow B, A therefore B, right? That's just the positive argument structure. You might have the contrapositive, you might have a transitive link. You might have something where we're referencing an analogy or an example and saying that therefore it's going to be similar in a similar key dimension to the prior case. You might say we only have three options, two of them are impossible, therefore we must have a third. So it's important to make sure that you familiarize yourself with a decent range, and we had this earlier in the course, of valid argument templates so that you have the pattern matching ability to understand when you're actually looking at a good argument. Then there's only one more step. You simply need to be able to describe it in abstract terms. Highly recommend that you use process of elimination for these answer choices. The reason why is it's very hard to pre-phrase or guess in advance exactly how they, the LSAT writers, are going to describe. There's a lot of different ways you can describe the same thing. The language is going to be a little bit abstract, a little bit high level, a little bit vague. You're not necessarily going to love the right answer. But it's typically very easy if you go slowly and analytically to map components of the wrong answer choices back onto the argument and then find something that's a bad fit. Describes the premise in a way that is clearly not correct, describes the type of conclusion being drawn in a way that's clearly not correct, or describes the link between how the premises support the conclusion in a way that is clearly not correct. So to recap here, make sure you find the conclusion, understand on your own, and try and do this in an abstract way, how the argument proceeds to that conclusion, then use process of elimination on the answer choices. In the next lesson, we're going to talk about some of the subtle possibilities involved when we do a method of argument question on a two-person discussion.